February 17th, 2026. Madam Secretary, could we have the roll call, please?
Chairman Cattouli,
Here.
Commissioner Bellamy,
Here.
Commissioner Goszewski,
Present.
Commissioner Horton,
Present.
Commissioner Oler,
Present.
Commissioner Prince,
Here.
Commissioner Wise.
Present.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any communications?
No, we just talked about the calendar this morning, and I'll provide an updated calendar to you at the next meeting.
Okay. Next agenda item is the approval of meeting minutes. Anyone have any comments or would like to pass on it?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Number 5, consent.
Item 5A is on the consent agenda. We talked about it this morning. It's final subdivision plat SUB 2562, a major final bonded plat of subdivision creating 22 residential lots, common area, and private rights-of-way in Phase 9C of Grand Dunes North.
Any comments from the commissioners? Questions? Questions. Does anyone out in the public have any comments or questions about this agenda item? No? I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission approve the major bonded final plat of subdivision sub-25-62 prepared for Phase 9C of Grand Dunes North.
I second that.
Any further comments or questions? Anyone in the public have any questions or comments about this agenda item? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it.
Item 6A is zoning ordinance text amendment ZTX 261. This is a text amendment requiring screening for certain mechanical equipment when located within required side yard setbacks. We discussed this at this morning's workshop. We've had some changes to this ordinance over the past year, but this affects Part B of subsection 6, and it's been rewritten since this morning, incorporating y'all's suggestions. So it says, when such equipment is located within a required yard setback, it shall be screened from view from adjacent properties or public streets by a fence wall or other comparable screening structure. The structure shall extend to a height of at least 12 inches above the top of the equipment being screened. Screening materials are not required to be solid, but provide effective visual opacity. Screening shall be installed and maintained in compliance with all applicable manufacturer clearance, ventilation, and safety requirements, and the screening requirement shall not apply to equipment elevated above base flood elevation within a special flood hazard area and installed more than 3 feet above finished grade.
That covers it all.
Everyone happy with that? Does anyone in public have any comments or questions about this text amendment? Nope.
Mr. Chairman, as we were talking this morning, we talked about a blow-through area and stuff like that, maybe a lattice. Also, I wonder if we need to consider the possibility of allowing for a 6-inch rise so that you can work under it without, it'll still block it, but it gives a blow-through, as well as you don't have to worry about wicking a wall and rotting the wall from the bottom up, where you just would have a post.
Okay, so it would be 6 inches, raised up 6 inches
Up
above?
to 6 or something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
And so you still wouldn't see it, but it would allow clearance from the
Right.
ground.
Well, it doesn't say it has to be set on the ground. It says that it has to screen the equipment. So I think you're already good with this.
With With our
six-
current fencing ordinance, does it have any information asking or detailing how far it has to be off the ground? I think that would,
I think we can, as long as we understand that.
I can add that for this goes to city council next, after your recommendation, and I can add some text that would make that okay, yeah.
Because I've built them like that with the clearance area multiple times, and
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone in the public have any comments or questions about this particular agenda item? No one. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the zoning ordinance text amendment ZTX-26-1 as submitted.
Second.
Last chance for comments or questions.
are we doing as submitted or with the additional?
Comments?
Additional.
I'm sorry, amended my motion with the additional comment on distance from grade.
Second, the amended motion.
Okay. Okay, call for a vote. A motion. Get the motions, and I need a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item 6B is annexation and zoning designation Z2520. This is a petition to annex 64.46 acres on the northwest corner at Champions Boulevard and SC 90, currently zoned CFA in the county. Currently, we discussed this morning at workshop at length. Most of the meat of this is in the next item. This is just the annexation. But this is currently, the parcels are currently vacant and adjacent to our sports park in the city. They are asking for the HC zoning, which is detailed in the staff report, but the permitted uses include all variety of commercial uses, primary, secondary retail, convenience, general business, funeral homes, crematoriums, offices, commercial recreation, churches, religious institution, motels, hotels, lodges, inns, hospitals, clinics, educational institutions, armories, lodges, civic clubs, schools, hospital, veterinary clinics, automobile service and repair, public and private transportation service and facilities, commercial parking lots and structures, adult entertainment establishments, that's to a whole other level of detail though, signs, accessory uses for multifamily dwellings, cemeteries, video gaming. It's our most intense commercial district, so all of those elements are allowed in the HC zoning. In terms of the relationship of the request to the comprehensive plan, the parcels have a dual future land use designation. One is designated as residential suburban, and one is designated as mixed use. That highway commercial is a primary recommended zoning district for the mixed use parcel, but not for the residential suburban parcel. Again, in terms of whether it violates or supports the plan, the HC zoning is consistent with the mixed-use land use, land use classification and inconsistent with the residential suburban land use classification. Whether the uses permitted by the proposed change would be appropriate in the area. The uses permitted in the HC district would be appropriate in the area. The proposed annexation and zoning request applies a single HC zoning district across both parcels. While HC is not a recommended zoning district for areas designated residential suburban, when considered independently, staff finds the request appropriate in this case due to the parcels being planned and developed as a unified project. The development pattern, access, and infrastructure are shared across both parcels, and the overall design aligns more closely with the intent intent of the mixed-use designation than with a standalone residential suburban development. As proposed, the annexation supports coordinated site planning and implementation of a cohesive development rather than fragmented zoning across boundaries. Public school facilities, roads, and other public service. The new access points off of Champions Boulevard and Highway 90 would be subject to encroachment approval by NMB and SCDOT. And then public water and sewer are available via Grand Strand Water and Sewer. And then this would move forward to City Council for their meeting on March 2nd. So you would probably, if you were going to choose a reason to act favorably on this proposal, it would probably be where necessary to implement the comprehensive plan, a little bit of C to recognize substantial change or changing conditions, because we do have those other commercial parcels adjacent, so residential suburban is less of a good use there. And again, we'll get into the development master plan in the next item.
Right. It's the public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public on this before we move forward? Come on up to front and state your name and address, please.
It's all pretty fast, I try to comprehend. I'm Joe Schaub. I'm at 3809 Park Point Avenue in the little community there, little Park Point community. One thing sort of stuck with me was the adult entertainment. I mean, that's usually, you expect to find that down at Atlantic Beach or something, but what are we talking about? I mean, are we going to get into deeper what these things may entail, or what?
Suzanne, that's not allowed in the city of North Myrtle Beach, correct?
There are conditions that it has to meet, but it's not allowed everywhere that HC zoning is, and I don't think that these sites would be at risk for adult entertainment.
We don't think, but is there going to be like a vote sometime or something like that?
There's a master site plan.
Okay. That's all that. We can do that?
Since we do have a development agreement, we're fine to add a provision to the development agreement to exclude that use for this site. That'll eliminate that question.
Okay.
I think a lot of the public's questions we'll be able to answer those in the next, when we go over the development agreement. A lot of the details, this is more of if we're annexing it in, that property into the city of North Myrtle Beach as a highway commercial property.
Any further comments? Anyone else?
Is there an open mic for her on this side?
She could get her that one.
I'm Diane Slosar. I am a resident of Park Point, and I'm at 4021 on Deck Circle. And so I know a number of my neighbors are here. I don't know about you guys, but even up this close, I'm having a hard time seeing this map and understanding what specifically is being asked. So I'd like to have a little bit more clarification on this. So now I can see Champions Boulevard and the subject area requesting HC, is that right?
Yes.
That's the part that is being requested to annex with everything else that's already been approved, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so if I'm understanding what you also said is that once all that's combined, then there can be a cohesive way in which to expand that, and then, but as that's happening, what do we as people in the neighborhood have as a right to say, yes, these are things that we would approve of, versus it's just going to get lost in the sauce and the powers that would be will, will make their plans and move forward. I'd like to have more say and input to what actually happens in that area in total.
That'll be addressed during the DA agreement. But to give you a visual, if you're coming out of North, or leaving the beach side of North Myrtle Beach, Robert Edge Parkway, you go under the bridge, under 31.
Right.
If you're taking a left on Champions Boulevard, to the right, that long piece of property that's been clear cut, that's this first straight part red that is outlined in blue.
Okay,
The other portion that looks kind of like a shark fin and has a little tail on it, see what I'm saying? It's a little,
at the very top?
yep, little triangle with the
Yes.
back end on it. That is another piece of property, and they're trying to put those two pieces of property together, and that has trees on it currently. And annex that whole piece of property as highway commercial.
Okay.
So that should give you a little better understanding of where it is exactly.
So then, on top of that, then, the proposal will ultimately mean that on Champions Boulevard, there'll be some access to Champions Boulevard from that entire section. Do we know if it's going to be one? Is it going to be two? Will be three?
addressed in the next one.
Okay.
Diane.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, you're fine.
Everything is going to be addressed in the next piece. So like when we go home tonight, on the right-hand side, the first piece where the marquee is, the city owns that little piece.
Right.
Where the big pond is.
Right.
All right, that's already in the city as highway commercial.
Okay.
It's going to be merged with the clear cut,
Okay.
as Ms. Cowley said, and the piece right next to it. They're
Okay.
looking to merge that all in and bring it in as highway commercial.
Okay.
All right? The reason that we're able to do it is because, as you know, we have Seaside Furniture, and you have that other commercial piece, so it'll match there. And you'll see on the next piece where they show the map on what the plan looks like, their proposal. All right? You'll see how everything ties in together with entrances and exits on 90, as well as Champions Boulevard.
Okay. So when will we hear that?
Next.
Right now, next item.
In about 4 minutes.
Vote on
Right
this.
right after we vote on this.
Currently, the property is in the county, which we have zero control over.
Roll over.
With the annexation, then it becomes into the city, but we didn't want to just have a highway commercial piece annexed in, therefore there's a development agreement which restricts it. It's like an internal restriction by the developer of what types of use will be there, and that's the part we'll be discussing second. And please don't understand, we spent more than an hour on this morning ourselves in our meeting.
And please note that, as you saw, the representative for the developer, they're more than amicable to adjusting the development agreement in order to keep certain things out, especially when it came to adult entertainment. So they're more than amicable to put some things in suggestions.
Okay. Anyone else? Any comments? Okay, so much for commenting. Do we have any discussion by the commissioners? Final chance to say something about it?
No.
Okay, I'll have a motion, please.
I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the annexation and zoning petition Z-25-20 as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, item 6C, this is the DA for that annexation. Because the parcel is over 25 acres, by state law, we are allowed to enter into a development agreement with the developer, the city is, which serves as a contract between the city and the developer. The developer is WMG Acquisitions LLC. The total acreage would be combined with those other pieces fronting Champions that we just referred to, so that would be 73.5 acres total. The go through briefly the items of note, and we can discuss further. The terms, the duration is 5 years with one automatic additional 5-year extension. There are private roads. Any internal roadways serving the parcel shall be private roads. There is a conceptual master plan associated with the DA. Minor administrative adjustments that don't materially alter the overall character wouldn't need to be revised, but anything major would need to come back as an amendment to the DA. Perimeter masonry wall. We have some additional exhibits that, after we discussed this morning about the buffer, the boundary with Park Point. So there's some allowances for masonry wall and the vegetative buffer, as well as there's some options for a multi-purpose path. We have off-site road improvements. As a public benefit, they will construct 2 right-in, right-outs entrances along Highway 90 here, kind of furthest away from the intersection with Champions and 90. And then there will be 1 full access entrance on Champions and 2 other right-in, right-outs, and that would all be subject to approval at the technical review, a more technical review of that to make sure that driveway spacing and all of that meets state standards. There's a restriction on construction traffic, so it can only be accessed via Champions Boulevard between 7 and 6 p.m. And then there's an appendix that includes building materials and design elements, prohibiting vinyl siding, metal siding, fiberglass, plastic, asphalt siding, split face block. And then there's a height restriction zone that is included as an exhibit, and I think that's also been revised after a discussion this morning here. Let me see, I'll bring it up. So it now encompasses the wetland area as well. It's a restricted zone, so 35-foot height limit and no transient overnight accommodations are allowed in that area that's closest to the Park Point boundary. And then there are restrictive covenants that run with the land that memorialize this DA. The fees and public benefits, we have all applicable impact fees that are currently in use in the city, the off-site roadway improvements described above, and then the developer shall install and maintain the perimeter wall, vegetative buffer, and multi-purpose path. Let me just pull up what those, see. So we have the option of the, well, this one has the buffer, 25-foot buffer, then the wall, both on this property. And then we have the other option where the wall is on the property line, and then you have the 25-foot buffer. And we have some text that kind of describes the alternate provisions that they've provided. Because again, this is a public hearing. You don't take a vote on this, you just accept public comment, and this goes to City Council. Developers here to answer questions and, go through anything.
Okay. This is a public hearing, and anyone from the public is invited to make a comment on how this parcel is going to be developed.
We ask that you come up, state your name, your address, and then if we get to the point where we start hearing the same thing over and over, we'll ask, because we'll take those notes and give them to City Council. So I know a lot of you are going to have a lot of the same concerns. Yes, sir.
Hi, Michael Connors, 3677 Park Point Ave. Just first chance to take a look at this picture. I don't have my glasses on from back there. What is this area on the left that's all cross-hitched? Okay.
For everybody to hear, Suzanne was saying that's the restricted height zone, and it's limited to 35 feet. and there will be no transient overnight accommodations in
And
that
What are
area.
those buildings? Is that a hotel?
That will not be a hotel right there, no overnight transient accommodations.
Okay.
So that does not back up to Park Point.
Okay, so what is it?
That is just a rendering that the developers sent. Go ahead, Shep.
It's not going to be a hotel looking over the fence right now.
I'd like to know what it is.
So we really have two exercises here. One is to annex the property and establish the zoning. There is no plan in place yet, and there are no tenants that are in there yet. So when we come in straight zoning, there's nothing that binds the property. So one of the reasons we offered the development agreement is because it allows us to insert some protections for your neighborhoods, because I've worked here long enough to know exactly where the concerns were going to come from, so that's what we're trying to do. Whatever goes there, it cannot be more than 35 feet high, and it cannot include any hotels or motels.
Okay, so we're looking at maybe commercial buildings,
Yeah, typical shopping center
restaurants, or
type.
that type of thing?
That's right,
Okay.
exactly.
And then I also heard that the proposed hotels may be 14 stories high?
Well, that was on a conceptual plan. If they are, they most likely would be on the out parcels, closer to 90.
Okay,
But we don't even know today whether it's a viable hotel location or not.
okay.
But if they were, they could not be located in this rear section, and they could not be 35 feet or more.
Okay. And then this is Champions Boulevard on the bottom here coming in
Correct.
with accesses to the undeveloped parcels on the other side of Champions. 90
Well,
over
this is a
here.
little it's a little deceiving because the way Champions runs, these parcels were part of the original Champions development. So they're still on that side of
Okay,
Champions
yeah.
Boulevard,
It's where the-
but they're between this and the new parcels that are being
Okay.
annexed.
Okay.
So,
And I noticed there's some lots around this. Are these?
commercial
are
out
these-
parcels.
These are all commercial, and is this Champions Boulevard that I'm seeing here?
Champions would be at the very bottom where you see these throats coming out for these.
Okay.
That's actually
That's
Champions.
Champions there. okay.
Exactly.
So there are parcels all around this development.
Correct, that's right. So one of the thoughts was that middle access, which lines up with the main access across the street, is full access. But the concern was making sure we could get people off of Champions as quickly as possible. That's why those are right in and right out.
Right in, right
So
in,
you don't have both ways
Okay,
there.
yeah.
But we've tried to take into accommodation, knowing what some concerns were going to be. We got some good input from Planning Commission this morning, but we certainly want to hear anything that are concerns for you all before we get to City Council.
Definitely, lighting would be an issue, I'm sure.
So when it comes to lighting, noise, all the engineering concerns, they're going to have to comply with all the city ordinances anyway. So you couldn't have lights shining over into your yard. They'd have to be
Okay,
deflected
right,
anyway.
And as far as Park Point is concerned, this area that's hatched out, that's the boundary?
Yeah, so that's Park Ridge and Park
Ridge-
Point.
Park Ridge and Park Point.
Yep,
Okay,
yep. Yes, sir?
all right.
I'll stay up here in case somebody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, come on up.
Ken Madison, 3840 Park Point Avenue. As I see this proposal taking place, the apartments across the street, all the parcels still where there's supposed to be the hospital and so forth back there, all the new houses down the other end, the new park itself. This is a lot of traffic. Is this city of North Myrtle Beach considering how much traffic, lights that will be installed? We have a hard time even walking across the street now to go to the park. And so I just think this is a tremendous amount of traffic, commercial traffic of trucks, cars, everything. And just wondering what the council is considering, or the planning commission is considering for traffic in the future.
So first and foremost, Public Works has to review all this, and they'll have their input in regards to what needs to be put over there. But like we were saying, Ken, the developer's been more than amicable, and one of the, not concessions, one of the things that they would possibly put in for us, depending on what we choose to go up against our property, down in Park Point and Champions, have one of those push-button lights to get us across the street to start, so at least we could access the park. As far as anything else that be required, North Myrtle Beach will be making that determination. We don't have that in front of us. Like Chairman Cattouli said, we're taking all your comments in. This way we could forward it to them, and they could look at it.
Okay.
The next time this comes up is at the next council meeting, the first Monday in March.
In a consideration of aesthetically, the looks of these buildings and so forth, as you ride around town and so forth, some things are just thrown up, not very attractive. Other parts of Myrtle Beach and so forth down that way, it just seems like there's a standard. And is there going to be any kind of standard as to the developer aesthetically of what this is, when do we see a modified drawing of what this is going to look like? Because I think we have a park there that's beautiful, and we all utilize it. And I see a beautiful park, which should be set aside by itself to look like a park, that's being now surrounded, everything but a park. And I just think aesthetically, for those of us that invested in this area and so forth, we would, if there's no standard given as to the building and, how much money is going to be spent, curbside appeal, to our entrance, what things are going to look like. So that's a concern of mine. Okay? Thank you.
And I think you all know that. Just to address that, that's why we've included the provision in there that prohibits certain building materials. Those materials are the ones that have tended to not look well when they were installed, but certainly not fared well in the long term. So the goal is to make sure that this is a first-class operated shopping center. I don't anticipate that this would be any less than what you have in North Strand or anywhere else. This will have to be a first-class shopping center based on the cost of the land. So as you know, unless it were a PDD, there's no inclusion of the building elevations and the building materials, which we don't have here. We don't have a plan yet because we don't have the tenants secured to go in this site. So that's why we're coming in as straight zoning HC, but that's also why we offer the development agreement to have some of those protections in there that both you all, City Council, and the public thinks are appropriate.
In certain areas, you can see, for example, Pawleys Island, their gas stations, Chick-fil-A's, those type of things look different. It's a higher product or elevated product. Is there a way to put in the DA, you don't get the bottom of the barrel product if it's a national chain and you go from the top tier or the top 5 versus the bottom 5?
The good news that I can assure you of is, if you'll recall, the 7-Eleven we did out in the industrial park a couple of months ago was based on the 7-Eleven at 82nd Avenue in Grand Dunes, which is the same developer that's developing this project.
Gotcha.
So I think that's your assurance, is that you have a quality developer who's going to do a good job with it.
Okay.
Any further comments? Got one more? Come on up.
I also wanted to, there's a provision in our code for developments of regional significance that does also include by right the higher standards for architecture and things that I believe this is of the size that it would apply for this development as well.
Hi, Val Roselli, Line Drive in Park Point. Question in regards to the construction vehicles driving on Champions. I can see there's 2 access roads from 90. Why do they have to drive on Champions? Is there a way that they can only utilize those 2 outlets? Do they have to drive on Champions? I mean, at 6 a.m., would say 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., I think was stated as the time frame. 6 to 7.
It's only Monday through Friday.
That does, one day.
Not Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Construction material falling off of vehicles. I've had, since we moved in when things were being built, 2 tires with nails. A lot of the construction vehicles, they're busy driving and may not see things fall off, but there's a chance for things to fall off and more debris in the road. And the construction company, are they responsible for cleaning Champions, or is it the city? And how often will they clean it? I know I see the city bring down the sweeper maybe once a month, I think, down our road, which is awesome. But for Champions, with all the traffic and the additional construction vehicles, I think there's going to be a lot more issues with having to get new tires or damage to vehicles. So if they could avoid, I mean, with the 2 entrances off of 90, is there a reason?
I think the problem with the entrance,
31 and take either of those. There's a
Right,
median.
so you have to go all the way around,
So-
like everybody else does.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get construction traffic to go all the way to 90, make a U-turn. and
Why
come
not?
back in.
Tell them if it's the only way they have to go.
It's a public highway, you can't tell them that.
I'm asking the city, is there a way we can avoid Champions being used for construction vehicles, regardless if it's a highway or not? Please. It would help. I mean, as you all know, we deal with the traffic. It was much better this year with the park light show being further down, but we have dealt with, and we knew that when we moved in, understand completely. We knew it, and you guys did a great job with keeping the traffic out of that lane, adding the extra lane. But now we're adding, I know the construction vehicles are only going to that point, but it's still going to be more congested with the vehicles coming and going. And now with the extra, is it 8-ball fields that they used this weekend, which was awesome. I don't know if anybody noticed, the softball girls were playing down at the new fields, which was amazing, as well as the current fields that they have. But yeah, if we could keep the construction vehicles off, it would be a help. Thank you.
Diane Slosar. The height restrictions in that area, 35 feet, what are the height restrictions for the rest? What could the maximum height be of any building that's built in that area?
I'm not sure.
So 70, what does that mean in stories? How many stories high? Between 6 and 7 stories high? I don't know about anybody else, but I came to South Carolina to live in a South Carolina environment, and to me, that's just becoming a city. So I don't care for that.
if those are big box stores, they would be limited to 50 feet, wouldn't they?
Higher than that would be on
And that would be possibly, if they're hotels, then they would be 70 feet out on 90. But the ones that are in gray on this rendering, the maximum they would be 50.
The maximum height for hotels, motels, and resort is 70. Everything else is 50 feet for the maximum height.
Thank you.
Sir.
Brickstone, Diamond Stars Way. My only concern, in looking at this now, there appears to be only one entrance and exit that's on Champion Drive. Is it going to stay that way at one, or is the developer going to change this to whatever entrances and exits he wants to put on the Champion Drive? Also, with the development that's going in there, is it the intention that all the traffic go in through 90, or are they going to put traffic into Champion Drive? As I said earlier, our concern is the traffic and the kids. We just don't want all the traffic on Champion Drive. But is this, the entrance only going to be one, or is it going to be multiple entrances on Champion Drive?
There's four. There's multiple. Four entrances off Champion.
I only see
Or
one.
on
Now,
Champion
one
and
full
two.
access, but all three of those are also accesses. The middle drive is full access.
Right.
The two off of 90 and the
Right,
three here are right
right.
in, right out.
Off 90 is not a problem. I'm concerned about Champion Drive. Only be one on Champion.
No, there'll be four on Champion.
Four on Champion.
That's a problem,
But here's the problem, and we had this discussion this morning with engineering. If you only have one,
right?
then you end up with traffic queuing there. The purpose of having the right ends is to get traffic off of Champions and into the center sooner. If you eliminate those and only have one entrance, you're going to have traffic queuing trying to get in there.
But wouldn't it be if you had the, you want the people to go in through 90, not Champion
If
Drive?
they come off of 31, they can't go in through 90. There's a divided median there. So
Then
you've got to
they'll
have,
ha- then
they'll
you'll
have
have-
to come in at that light.
Then we're going to have all the traffic on Champion Drive.
I mean, you already have all the traffic for the park. It is a
But,
commercial
and you're
development
adding,
now.
and you're adding more to that.
You are.
That's
I
our
would,
problem.
I would think of it as, if you're driving north on Highway 17, there's not just one entrance into the public shopping center. You have a lot of cutoffs to get traffic off 17 and into that development, so that they're not sitting in the, the turn lane to try to turn to get into the public shopping center. I think there's, what, 4?
If you want to get into this new development off of 90 or, off 90, you're going to have to come from Conway area to make the right turn in. You're saying you can't make a left turn because of the divided highway?
That's correct.
Then that's going to put all the traffic on the Champion Drive for this whole development.
Yeah.
And that's not acceptable.
The highway department is not going to approve a left entrance going towards 90,
I
other
don't-
than at the light.
Then I don't think the planning session should approve all this going through Champion Drive.
Yeah, unfortunately, tonight, this is a development agreement public hearing. They're not even voting on it.
Okay, just, it's my opinion.
So we discussed that in great depth this morning. South Carolina DOT, they're the ones in charge of Highway 90, and they've put in a divide. That's why you can't do a left turn right there. It would take an act of South Carolina DOT to change their mind to allow one right there.
There needs a lot more planning before this gets finalized. Thank you.
Ken Madison again from 3840 Park Point Avenue. And I'm reverting back to the traffic also, because on the other side, what's going on now, car wash, gas station, apartments, everything that's being proposed here and what's already been approved, and I'm not even sure what all, I just know the campus for the hospital's going back there. This is all creating not just residential, but mostly all commercial traffic. And I can just see it 5 years from now, trying to get out of our house and so forth, with all the houses going down the other end, more commercial property going down there by the park, I'm sure, across the street on 90, going that way still on 90, heading towards Conway, and what's coming down towards the intercoastal now. I'm only voicing this because if this is a meeting to annex and change the zoning, I think the committee ought to really look at that as far as trying to hold some of the traffic back in the future. Because once it cuts loose, which it's already seemed to be doing, it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it'd be like many of other things, the types of things that go in there will be seasonable, and during the season, just trying 17 now is a mess. I mean, my only concern is mainly is the traffic and other things that these types of complexes can bring, which could be more crime and so forth in the area. And I really think it ought to be looked at in that aspect of 5, 6, 7 years from now, that we can't move or breathe again. So, thank you.
Any other comments? One more?
Yeah, and what he was saying, I'm Joe Schaub, again, 3809 Park Point Avenue. Is that Champion Boulevard, is that going to go all the way down to Water Tower? Is that going to be a through road? That whole thing is?
Yes.
Okay, that's already been approved and everything, right?
Yes.
Terrific, terrific.
Okay. Got one more. Okay.
Diana Golembeski, 3529 Park Point. I know originally when our whole area has just blown up in the last, since COVID, nobody expected that. Even our neighborhood, they didn't expect to sell out and blow up as quickly as it did, as with Horry County being the fastest growing county. But just, I know originally was that whole corner area I thought was supposed to be more like a market common type development, keeping some standard and just not throwing in anything on the corner or whatever is the less thing, not only for your just all the traffic and everything else, but just to keep a standard. I know it's never going to be a Hilton Head as far as landscape and design, but that whole Market Common has been very successful, and the look and the appeal to keep North Myrtle what a lot of people used to come here for, to keep that standard, that's all. And as far as going down Champions Boulevard, you know what, when I leave and try to get across just 90, 4 cars get through, and you're just like checking the lights every which way because people are constantly blowing through lights in every direction, and it's scary. Or even out coming from Park Point, our neighborhood, if they would consider even a circle. I know a lot of people don't care for circles, but just to keep the traffic flowing, because a lot of people don't even stop, or they're just blowing through the intersection. So just something to consider. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. I think everyone's had their say. These comments, I guess, will be passed on to City Council. And I'll close the public hearing. Thank you.
Chairman, can I interrupt for just 1 second? If anybody that spoke, if you could make sure that you signed the clipboard and sign your name and your address so that we can have it for the public record, I would appreciate it before you left. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Copies of that?
I do not. It's online.
It's online?
Item 6D is the major PDD amendment Z25-22. This is a major amendment to the Gator Hole PDD to redevelop an existing restaurant site there with a Chick-fil-A drive-through restaurant. This was in 2001, I believe, this amendment entitled a TGI Fridays in this location with the site plan, building elevations, and signage. And it's since operated under that, but they are now proposing to change that to a Chick-fil-A with a 47 square foot restaurant building with drive-through, updated site layout as shown on the screen, landscaping, building elevations, and signage as depicted in the packet. The elevations, I feel like everyone's kind of familiar with this prototype. The signage included. Staff really has no comment except, and I just to enter this from Public Works, They reviewed the proposed amendment and no objection to the revised building location or architectural elevations. However, we have ongoing concerns regarding the potential traffic and circulation impacts associated with this relocation within the existing shopping center. They have provided a traffic study that concludes the revised layout will function adequately. However, the Public Works staff remains concerned that the intensity and queuing associated with this use may adversely affect internal circulation and access to adjacent tenants within the shopping center. This, again, is for your recommendation. I believe the applicants are here to address any questions, but this would go to City Council at their March 2nd meeting. And as I said, it's a concern, but the applicant has given all evidence that this won't adversely affect the shopping center.
Do you have any comments from the commissioners?
Is the applicant here? Where is the applicant?
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Felipe Reyes. A little bit further south, the address is 220 East Central Parkway in Altamont Springs, Florida. As staff said, they didn't really have any comments regarding the design. I do represent the civil design portion of this site, but I have invited our traffic engineer in case you have any specific questions regarding traffic.
Okay.
You used to count the cars coming down Ashley Loop.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Eagle with Kimley Horn. As he said, I did the traffic analysis on this. Address is 532 Patterson Avenue. It's Mooresville, North Carolina. We actually looked at an existing Chick-fil-A of a similar square footage and drive-through layout on Kings Highway. I believe it's the one by the Bass Pro Shops, if you're familiar with that. So we did some counts there at that Chick-fil-A. Also looked at the queuing from the drive-through, observed those maximum queues from that, and that's what the basis of our analysis was for the proposed site.
But you didn't actually count the cars on Ashley Loop.
Yes, we actually counted several intersections around there, studied those as well.
The reason I ask is I go from 8th Avenue to Ashley Loop on Saturdays. And I cannot make a right-hand turn onto Ashley Loop because of the traffic coming out of the present Chick-fil-A and the Walmart now. So I have no idea how this might work. There's too much traffic in that intersection now, where you have to wait for 2 or 3 lane changes at the light there at Westport to be able to pull out to make a left-hand turn to go southbound on 17.
I'm not sure I'm following exactly where you are, but we did look at several intersections in that area, did traffic counts, AM, midday, PM counts, modeled all that. We looked at US 17. Let's see here. Let me get my bearings straight on this. Yes, US 17 and Ashley Loop, that signalized intersection. Ashley Loop and Sherry Drive, which is the one that goes by the existing Chick-fil-A. And then the intersection there of Ashley Loop and Diatra, which is also the Home Depot's access. The driveways along Gator Hole Plaza, which is where this Chick-fil-A is relocating to, and the a single Walmart access on Diatra Lane is what was scoped with staff.
So the first thing, when you mentioned, you can't compare the Chick-fil-A in North Myrtle to the layout that's down near Bass Pro Shop. Totally 2 different animals, all right, in regards to traffic. Because we're forced to go down to, what is that, King Road?
Yeah, Kings Highway.
There we have to make a right to go and access it through around.
You have 3 traffic lights, signaled lights to get to. You've got the top entrance, you've got the middle entrance, and then you've got the 22 overpass entrance. And they're all signaled lights to get to that property that is on the other side and doesn't have direct access to 17.
Yes, standard practice, are we talking about just the trips generated by the Chick-fil-A? Is that what we're talking about now?
Their main concern is if you're leaving what is now TGI Friday, Chick-fil-A, there are only 2 exits. You can exit, if you were able to shoot straight across and jump across to Arby's, it's not going to be possible because of the traffic coming in from 17, taking a right, or the people turning from this lane on 17 are coming straight, and the Walmart traffic coming down, Home Depot traffic. Anyone trying to take a left to get into that either turn lane to head south on 17 is extremely dangerous. So what the other option would be, drive behind the buildings or in front of the businesses where it's already pretty jammed up, sit at that exit and try to take a left and you're fighting the traffic that's coming in to go to Walmart, and it's right there where the turn lane is to go to Walmart. So you're sitting here waiting for all the Walmart people to take a left and these people that are leaving Walmart to take a right to get out. So you're stuck on that property and can't leave only if you take a right-hand turn and then you go all the way up to 8th Avenue, take a left, and then you're back somewhere that doesn't have a light, or drive all the way around behind Lowe's, take 2nd Avenue North, back up 2nd Avenue North even more to sit at a light that's not long enough to get through. The other day I was there and I had to wait 3 cycles to get through that light. And I was...
Traffic at that light already backs up to Detroit.
Correct. So that's the main concern that we have is there's the safety of it for the public, but also how are you going to get that many people from the North Myrtle Beach Chick-fil-A at the busiest times during the day off that property?
And that might just be what they do. They choose the path of least resistance and try to, instead of trying to turn left out of the site, they'll turn right and find another route.
So, in essence, you guys understand that you're going to create a traffic nightmare on 2nd Avenue North.
That's not what I said.
But it is what you're doing.
It is what you're doing. When I leave Our Lady Star of the Sea Church, and I come down past the entrance, the back entrance for Chick-fil-A, I cannot make a right-hand turn to get onto 17 South. 8th Avenue North does not have a signal. I cannot make a left-hand turn on 17 South. There's only one way for me to go to 17 South, and I can't do it now. So you're going to add to it. How many lights am I going to have to cycle through?
I couldn't tell you how many cycles you'd have to sit through, but it is a congested area. We looked at the queuing, we looked at the delays. We've gone through all that. Staff, we sat with the technical review committee. They didn't have any comments on the study. We've scoped the entire study with staff.
And they have questions about it.
I have a question.
Well, they didn't have any at the technical review committee. The question that came up, we still have concerns, that came up, I think, Friday. But again, there was no specific concern given in that other than they had concerns about the internal circulation of the site.
Are you adding to the traffic count, or are you just relocating it from the existing site to this new site?
We're adding.
You are adding?
Yeah.
How many cars a day are you anticipating?
Let's see.
See how close I am.
And I understand, as a business, it's already a zoned restaurant. And it seems, I mean, you can't punish not that we're here to punish anybody, but you can't punish a successful restaurant because they've got a lot of traffic. I just think that city staff was saying that they're very concerned about people trying to take a left right there at that light and it becoming a major issue.
And where the current restaurant is located already, we already have an entrance/exit that's blocked off, all right, that you can't access off that turnway off 17 North. So we already know there's a challenge there to access the current site. So now going to a bigger site, and of course you add it to the count, whatever the normal percentages are. You know, you may be upwards of 1,000 cars a day, 1,500, God bless if you are. But how is that all going to negotiate through there and getting across the Ashley Loop to access 17 South?
And we really say all of this because we want Chick-fil-A to be successful.
Right.
We really do.
Build it there and then get choked out with traffic and it would fail. But that's somebody else's money.
Yeah, I don't really want to go through this traffic study page by page, guys. Or the Public Works Department didn't see any problems with their assumptions, with the models that they used. It's not about, dissecting this. None of us have that expertise here.
Yeah. No, I was just curious as to how many cars a day. It seems to be a simple question. If you're telling me you've done a traffic study and you've got an idea, and you can't tell me how many cars a day you're anticipating the impact, I don't know what kind of study you did.
I've got it right here.
Okay. Well,
Sorry, I
wasn't talking to you. I was speaking to Suzanne's.
Yeah, just didn't have a chance to reply. I think it's 1,800 trips per day.
In addition,
You're pretty close, 1,500, right?
I did the math this morning based on the store gross and the average
Okay.
ticket price.
Okay.
is that in addition to, or is that the actual count?
That's projected.
It's projected.
That's
They're probably,
projected.
Okay.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
probably 1,300 they're anticipating.
Yeah, and I understand the concern with the safety, especially at Ashley Loop and this driveway that goes into the Chick-fil-A, but that is something we considered. We always look, for a TIA, we look at the no-build condition. What if nothing happens? And then what's the build? What's that difference between the two? And what are those impacts? So we're looking at the queues between 17 and the driveway. Are those getting longer because of this Chick-fil-A? Are they causing problems that weren't there before? I think that's kind of more of the issue. There's long queues there today, right? Long queues, long delays. It's hard to turn left with such a short distance between 17 and the driveway. I'm not saying there's not going to be any traffic issues at all. I'm saying that the relocation of the Chick-fil-A is not going to change, is not going to create a new problem that's not already there.
So if at some point in time we were to extend that median past the crossover, forcing all the traffic out right, coming out of the Chick-fil-A into figuring their other way out,
Yeah.
is that going to be a problem?
We would have to, like you said, we'd have to look at what that does at the intersections surrounding the area. Where does that traffic go? What does that look like at each intersection? Yeah.
You can kind of merge into that flow when you're coming out of the Chick-fil-A, you can kind of merge into it as you're coming to the right. But coming out of there and
Yeah.
doing a left,
Yeah.
I mean, it's suicide.
Yeah.
And
We
thank
got
God
the
I
right
live to the
forever,
right.
and you're gonna build up an incredible queue there as people try to do it and can't do it.
Right.
And then people are gonna be going everywhere like chickens.
You better pray over that Jesus chicken before you take a left, because you're going to die trying to do it.
I got one more. 'Cause
I just wanted to add that they did include a number for the existing site as well. They are not assuming zero at the existing Chick-fil-A at the projected build-out of this. It accounts for another retail or restaurant establishment.
Yeah, but you don't have to cross over to turn left. I think that's everybody's concern, is that's getting out of there. Even when it was a TGIF, getting out of there was a problem to the left, and they have nowhere near your business.
And one thing that we could do, that's actually, that we are doing, is you can see it on the plan there, coming out of the driveway there for Chick-fil-A onto Ashley Loop, there's going to be a left turn lane, separate left turn lane. So those vehicles that want to try to sit there and wait. They can sit there and wait in their own turn lane while the throughs and rights have their own lane to get through.
The only thing that concerns me for Chick-fil-A is the fact that that existing site was a TGI Fridays and not knowing why it closed. But I wonder if it is because of its access problems. And Chick-fil-A is going to be faced with the same because of traffic.
Question.
All right, one more.
I know we're speaking about assumptions here. I can't speak for Chick-fil-A itself, but I'd say it would probably be easier to access this site, given the fact that a lot of the traffic is coming from Highway 17. So as I go ahead and reach Ashley Loop, all I'm doing is taking right turn lanes. And not so much as a designer, but even if I was just a customer, going to the existing Chick-fil-A, which I went to today, and that first entrance there is closed, I would have to loop and loop around that Chick-fil-A just to get my chicken sandwich. With this one, just the amount of stacking that's being added to the site, I would 10 times prefer to go to this Chick-fil-A, just because of the easy access to get in. Now, with the access to get out, and Andrew spoke about it, just the ability for us to separate those two lanes by adding that additional internal lane and being able to go through and take a right with one lane, being able to take a left with the other, that in itself, so I'm not saying it solves a problem, but it does aid what is there currently. So I don't want to take away from what's actually being done on the site design aspect of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Left lane at your own risk. Left turn at your own risk. But, yeah, I get what you're saying.
There's no striping. I can't add at your own
Yeah.
risk. But no, ultimately, like Andrew said, we did speak with staff. They went ahead and looked at the traffic report. There weren't any, if I'm not mistaken, there weren't any comments, just concerns. Interplan, we're open to any additional input that you all may have. But in the meantime, we've addressed every single concern that we're aware of.
Can you give me the queuing capacity that this new site is going to have?
I was hoping you would ask. I have my numbers right here. So visiting the site, the actual infrastructure for the existing Chick-fil-A, we calculate it in linear feet. So the existing Chick-fil-A has about 330 linear feet of stacking. The new Chick-fil-A, just in drive-through infrastructure. What do I mean by that? I mean by the, from the window to where the drive-through starts, it's 800 linear feet. So that's more than double of the stacking that you can fit in that. Though the existing Chick-fil-A doesn't exceed that amount, if it did, this site still provides additional stacking on-site before it even reaches that arterial portion of that road of Ashley Loop.
Gotcha.
If I were to compare both sites, the existing Chick-fil-A is like an acre, this is a little bit over 2. This doesn't happen all the time when we're able to do these reloads. It's an amazing property, that's all I can say.
Well, congratulations on your business success.
I don't work for Chick-fil-A, but thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Anyone from the public have anything to say about this one? No, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we send forth a recommendation of approval of the Major Plan Development District, PDD Z-25-22, as submitted.
Do I hear a sec-
Second.
Last chance for comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Ayes have it.
Item 6E is major PDD amendment to Tuscan Sands, and we talked about this morning. I have slightly revised the ordinance in front of you to add the driving range comment as we spoke about this morning. But this amendment revises a 2017 amendment that reduced the rear setback at Tuscan Sands down from 20 feet to 10 feet for unheated and non-conditioned patios and porches, subject to design and transparency standards that are in the ordinance. And this new amendment further revises that to, for lots directly bordering the golf course or driving range, qualifying unheated, non-air conditioned patios or porches as described below may have a minimum rear setback of 3 feet. Sorry.
Any discussion by the commission? You have any comments from the public? Final call for comments. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the Major Plan Development District Amendment to the Barefoot Resort PDD Z-26-1 as submitted.
Second.
Last chance for comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Item 6F is a minor PDD amendment to the Parkway Group revising the sign at the McDowell Corporate Center.
Suzanne? I think,
Yes.
In terms of next steps for approval, how? Oh, the city council is next, so we'll know tonight. That was it.
Minutes first.
okay.
The McDowell Corporate Center, they amended their PDD January 5th, 2026, and this was the proposed sign, and they are replacing that with this proposed sign, as we discussed this morning. This is a minor, so it ends with, yeah.
Any discussion by the commissioners? None? Anyone from the public? Not hearing any more comments. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the Planning Commission approves the minor planned development district amendment to the Parkway Group PDD Z-26-2 as submitted.
Second.
Last chance for comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item is sketch plan SUB 25-38. A sketch plan creating 125 dwelling units within a site-specific development plan on Water Tower Road. The sketch plan stage was recently created so Planning Commission could evaluate overall layout with the trees to evaluate tree preservation considerations. This doesn't authorize any land disturbance or construction. In the case of this project, that is authorized by the TRC approval that goes through staff review. But because it is more than 4 dwelling units, the sketch plan comes to you. However, in this case, the parcel was recently harvested and there are no trees. So there's not a lot to comment on in this. It's a 13.58 acre property. Everything else really with technical compliance with dimensional standards and the zoning district and all of that comes down to staff review. But the tree portion is y'all, but there are no trees, so.
Discussion by the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission approve the sketch plan SUB 25-38 as submitted.
Second.
Last chance for comments. Anyone from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
We have item 6I, preliminary subdivision plat SUB 2550. This was sorry, wrong one, 6H. 6H is SUB 2549. This was discussed earlier at workshop, but just to go over some key parts. This plat will be creating 53 residential lots, 2 common area lots, and private rights-of-way in Phase 6 of Grand Dunes North at the Parkway Group. This plat will be continuing Brindley Road, a 55-foot wide private right-of-way, and creating Brawley Drive, Teagan Drive, Ambrose Avenue, and Galen Drive, all 50-foot wide private rights-of-way. All roadways are designed to city standards, and there were no comments from staff.
Any commissioners have comments or question on this? Anyone from the public? No, not hearing any comments or questions. I'll call for a motion.
I move that the Planning Commission approve the major preliminary plat of subdivision sub 25-49 prepared for Phase 6 of Grand Dunes North as submitted.
Second.
Last chance for comments. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, now 6I. Preliminary subdivision plat SUB 2550. This plat will be creating 69 residential lots, 4 common area lots, and private rights-of-way in Phase 7A and 8A of Grand Dunes North at the Parkway Group. This plat will be creating Galen Drive, Aiden Drive, and Linus Lane, all 50-foot wide private rights-of-way, and designed to city standards. And again, no comments from the staff.
Appears to be clean. No comments. Anyone from the commission have any comments on this? Anyone from the public? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission approve the major preliminary plat of subdivision 25-50 prepared for Phase 7A and 8A of Grand Dunes North as submitted.
Second.
Last chance for comments. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
One thing, just before we close, on the six D, I don't recall us doing a motion, or was that just public hearing? Just public hearing today? Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure we weren't missing a step.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thanks, guys.